I seen people do that often. Like one young brother called me and told me after I left, he called, I guess he thought I was going to give him the okay to leave because I left. He called and he told me, yeah, I'm going to leave, you know, because it ain't right. This ain't right. They ain't right. They ain't right. I said, what you going to leave and do though? Tell me what's right. What is right? What you getting ready to do? Only thing you telling me is about over here. See, you can't, he don't know what mission he on. He on a mission to say somebody ain't right. But if you going on a mission for God, you should be knowing what it's about. So he said, look, verse 19, whose end is destruction, whose God is in their belly, who glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. They worried about earthly things. Let's go further. Go to Romans 16. Romans 16. See, it's easy to get sidetracked. Now, Paul is talking about somebody that was in it with him. That was on the mission. But they done fell off. And we done seen that happen. Romans 16. So when somebody called me and tell me, well, I'm getting ready to leave and do something, they got to know what the mission is. At least I had one brother, he told me he was leaving, and he admitted, he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, at least he was honest. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, you really should know that before you make any type of move, but at least he was honest and said it. Romans 16. You got to know what the mission is and stick to it because you can get sidetracked from it. 16 and 17. Go ahead.
Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
See, now Paul is warning the Romans here. First in the Philippians, he said, look, you got us for an example on how we've been living and walking in the gospel. So follow us. And because I got to tell you about some people that was walking with us. They going the other way now. I want to warn you about it. Now he's warning the Romans about the same thing. He said, I beseech you, brother, mark them that cause division. He said, you got some good examples, and also now I'm going to show you some bad examples. You're going to have some that cause division. That's their only purpose, to try to cause some division. And offenses, contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. See, God can give any one of us a revelation of something. But see, you know when somebody is on their own agenda, because that's all it's going to be about. You know, they're going to drop everything, and it's all about that. That's all they're going to ever want to talk about. You're going to know. That show you, I think Shakespeare said, I think thou dost protest too much. You know, you give it a break, will you? Now, that's all it's about now. Like you had this brother down in Atlanta. That's all he jumped up talking about. The angels did sleep. They did. Y'all buoying them wrong. Elijah them wrong. Angels really did sleep with some women. They really did. They did. I'm telling you, they did. They did. Angels slept with women. I mean, that's all you want to talk about now, huh? Something's wrong with that. What about still trying to, even if buoying and I'm wrong, what about still trying to show somebody salvation? Just tell us we wrong and leave it alone. Don't just beat a dead horse. But that shows you when somebody on another agenda. That's all it's going to be about now. Because it ain't about the gospel, preaching the gospel to somebody. It's about them trying to be somebody, coming up with something. Same thing with these brothers in Buffalo. But now, read that again.
Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
He said, and avoid them. Because they on their own mission now. Go ahead.
For they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly.
See, there you go again with that belly again. Because that's all it is. It's about feeding themselves. It's not about trying to go out on the mission that Jesus sent his followers on. He said, they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ. It's not even about the Lord, even though they're going to talk to the Lord. Oh, they're going to give a nice little speech or something. They're going to talk about the Lord, but it ain't about the Lord. Like I said, when the brother called and told me, not to mention he wasn't even 30 years old, that's a sign that you probably need to wait a little while. But even that aside, his speech was letting me know he wasn't ready to do nothing. Because he just talking about hate. He talking about hate for this other church that he leaving. Well, what about what you going to do? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go and do something because they ain't right over there. Mm-hmm. He said, for they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly, and by what?
And by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple.
See, they come up with some good words, though. They can come up with some good words, and if you simple-minded, you would go for it. Because some people looking for something. They looking for something that seems exciting. Or they looking for some controversy. Well, that's who will go for that. He said, by good words and fair speeches, they will deceive the hearts of the simple. But if you got a little bit of understanding, you're going to see through that folly. But now, go to 2 Timothy 2. But this is all showing us why you need to know what the mission is. Know the mission so you don't get sidetracked. And what's the mission? Preaching the gospel. Second Timothy 2. But you always have somebody that will get sidetracked, and you got to be warned of that. That's a lesson. Second Timothy 2 and verse 15. 2 Timothy 2 and 15. Go ahead.
Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
See, that's what the minister's going to do, who are leading the battle, turning the battle to the gate, to have the gospel preached. Study to show yourself approved so you don't be ashamed, and you can rightly divide the word of truth. Not come up with some twisted doctrine of your own imagination. And a lot of times, again, people do that because they want to be seen and recognized by somebody. So they come up with, like Paul said in 1 Corinthians 14, well, what is this about? What are y'all doing? Why is it all y'all got a doctrine, all y'all got a song, all y'all got, it's about me, me, me. Instead of doing God's will. He said, do that though. Study to show yourself approved, rightly dividing the word of truth. Verse 16.
But shun profane and vain babblers.
See, you're going to have those too. And you got to shun those. Profane and vain babblers. You got some people just talking to be talking. Shun profane and vain babblers. Go ahead.
For they will increase unto more ungodliness.
See, and that's what you're going to see. Just like I had to separate from a brother. He was just starting to do more babbling. And then as time went on, he just out to lunch now. Because that's what he said here. It will increase unto more ungodliness. It's going to get worse. It might start at point A, but it's going to end up at Z. And everybody going to know it. Go ahead, verse 17.
And the word will eat as doth a canker.
And their word, what they preaching, because they ain't preaching to edify nobody, to save no souls. It's just going to destroy people. Their word, but they got a message now. Their word will eat as doth a canker of what?
Of whom is Hymenaeus and Philetus.
See, Paul knew these brothers right here. Hymenaeus and Philetus. He knew them. You know how he knew them? Because they was on the mission with him at first. They was on the mission. And then they turned around and it blew the mission and going the other way now. Fighting against the truth. And Paul had to warn people of them. Because if he didn't, they might pick somebody off and he didn't want to be chargeable for that. So he said, look, their word will eat as doth a canker. It ain't going to help nobody. Of whom is Hymenaeus and Philetus. And he even going to give you their doctrine. See, sometimes we think, well, little things don't matter. Look, if you know the truth, it ain't no excuse for you to turn and make up something. That show you just got some issues.